All right, everyone. Welcome to Waiting to Dry, the undisputed king of tangents, accept no imitators, and don't believe what you've heard out there on other art podcasts.
No duplicators.
Yeah. Don't fake the funk. I am...
Yo, what's yo, dog? Local Rembrandt. Sergio, can I paint that?
That is me, Sergio Lopez. Oh, my God.
Have we not recorded any of that?
We didn't record it.
Any of it?
No.
Holy shit.
God damn it.
That's horrible. Fuck. What do we, I don't even know what we do here. We just try to have the same exact fucking conversation twice.
I guess. God damn it. I'm glad I caught that at least.
Holy fuck, it's already 2:40. All right. Let's do this shit one more again. Holy fuck.
Oh, fuck. Okay, we are recording this time now. Well, that's never happened to us before. Yeah, I'm glad I caught that. God damn.
I wonder how long we've been recording for.
Probably about a half hour or so.
God damn it. I don't even want to talk about roast beef sandwiches anymore. Oh, fuck. All right. Let's do this.
All right. Welcome to Waiting to Dry, the podcast that, whatever.
That doesn't hit record.
Yeah, the podcast that sometimes fucks up royally while they're trying to record, but maybe we need a backup for next time.
But yeah. Yeah, we just talked for about 30 minutes. I'm Josh Laurie, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Sergio Lopez.
And today we have no guest. Thank God for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we just talked for like 30 minutes before we realized the record button wasn't hit. So much good stuff you guys didn't hear. And now we have to figure out what to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know where to go from here.
So you went for breakfast this morning with that, Jay.
God damn it. God damn it. All right. Well, let's fucking do this. Yeah. So one thing we talked about, 30, I feel like we talked longer than 30 minutes.
Probably, yeah. We probably just talked about pricing itself for about 20 minutes.
Yeah. So one thing we just talked about that we'll re-talk about, and we'll just try to let's go through this.
Yeah.
So I had this conversation with MJ this morning for breakfast where she ordered a roast beef sandwich. Pretend you've never heard this before, Sergio. Yeah, thank you. And it was like very spicy, and my wife, she loves spicy food, like to the limit where like it's unedible to most people.
Who likes spice more, you or her?
Her by like a mile.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like I love spicy food. She loves like can't breathe, too hot spicy, even for her sometimes.
Like she gets like ghost pepper sauce and all that shit.
Oh yeah, like she gets like that like hot wings show.
Oh sure, yeah.
She gets like
hot ones,
like the fourth from the top or the third from the top. Like
oh really?
She's had that where like you're supposed to use like one drop. Yeah. And I'll come and like take a bite of her food and I'm like, my fucking mouth is on fire for now. For like it's gonna be 20 minutes of my mouth on fire. Because you put like 10 drops of this in your food.
Is she likes it though, but she struggles with it?
Yeah, she likes it kind of in like I don't know, like probably the same way people like being whipped. I literally do not understand it. She walks that tightrope of like, I went too far and like perfect, to her, not to anyone else, just to her.
Huh. That's crazy. I didn't even know that about her.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, so we went to this breakfast place and they have a roast beef sandwich, and I've got it for her before, and it was really good. It had like a pretty decent spice to it. And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to love this. So we went there again today and she got it. And it's like a kind of high end diner place who they make like their own brioche bread for the sandwich. And
like how much was it?
I think it was like $13 or $14.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty high end sandwich.
Yeah. And it's like this big.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For everybody, that's like the size of like a palm, like a palm and a half.
Yeah. Not that big.
Really, damn.
But
well, my palm then.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe the size of a sliced bread.
Yeah,
but like
okay.
maybe thickness, like Texas toast thickness, because it's brioche.
Yeah.
So we got it, and it wasn't as spicy, and so, you know, I started thinking of like, oh, do you think they changed this because of the customers, because they couldn't handle it?
By the way, Juan's gonna be like, they're already talking about food.
Yeah. This isn't a Guy Fieri spot, by the way. So then we had this discussion about like, should you do that? Should this place who like prides themselves on like really pushing the quality of ingredient and the way they're cooking things and really trying to like put an effort into making a really good product, should they change what they think is a good product based on the customers? Or should they say, because when we first bought it, when I first bought it, they were like, oh, just a heads up, this is like a pretty spicy sandwich. You know, so if you're not into spice, we can take away the sauce or whatever. And then we were like, oh no, give it to us. And it was delicious. So, you know, it kind of like transitioned into art of being like, do you water down your art, or do you change your art based on the opinions of the people trying to consume it? Yeah. And then, you know, I mean, we had this conversation already.
Yeah. And I was saying, what was I saying?
You were saying like, blah, 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 blah. My name is Sergio. Cha-ching.
Yo, what's yo, dog? Local Rembrandt. Sergio, can I paint that?
Shout out to Brave Castle.
Yeah, I was saying, sometimes it does factor into how I think about what I'm painting.
Right.
About sometimes if I'm doing a concept that just doesn't connect with my audience for whatever reason, I try and figure out why first before I try and change it.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely a factor of like if it's not working, and I'm starting to lose faith in it because it's not working, then I'll abandon an idea, maybe earlier than I maybe should.
And working for you means like getting monetary success. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, because I do have to think about that a lot.
For sure.
This being my full-time job, so right. Yeah, it does. There probably are some concepts that I would explore more if I had more of a luxury to, but at the same time, I have to juggle that with the things that are selling, that are continuing to sell, that I'm already doing.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why I end up doing painted roses for like 8 years.
And counting. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, we've already fucking talked so much about this. I'm just going to like repeat a bunch of shit. But,
sure.
But one of the points made is like, you know, if you want like a standard roast beef sandwich or like a standard whatever, why not just go to a place that makes that? You know what I mean? Like an Arby's or a fucking,
right.
I don't know. There's plenty of artists in the sea. Like if you want like a no whatever, you know, if you want it to be very whatever you like, if you have an idea of what you want in a painting, there's plenty of artists that'll probably be making that, and maybe not even doing it for negative reasons. You know what I mean? They don't want the fucking hot sauce because they don't like it. So maybe they're making the fucking painting without hot sauce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I don't get is like, why not go to that instead of, especially in this world where the fucking internet exists, why not just go to the Arby's or the roast beef place that doesn't make spicy sauce or whatever instead of trying to change the person who's like, who has a point of view and has a opinion of how they want to create art, and trying to, put your opinion into their art.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's, and this comes back to me being horrible at taking fucking suggestions. Remember we had, what's his name? Fuck. Reyes.
Fernando Reyes.
Fernando Reyes. There you go. We had him on it. And he was like all about suggestions. Like,
right.
That kind of like guided him through his art career, and it seems to be successful for him. So I'm not saying, maybe that is the good way, especially like I think for money reasons, right? Suggestions will pay out. And I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know too much about the food world, but it seems like there's a lot of chefs out there who were very uncompromising, and it paid off for them in the long run.
And that's kind of my other. Yeah,
I feel like you have to eat shit for a while to stick to your guns.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing I admire the most as well, is like when someone's really has a fucking vision, and they're trying to stay true to it as hard as they can, without anyone being able to compromise it. And that to me, like, usually makes what I think is kind of the best shit in general of like creating things, is the person who has a vision, is not willing to compromise for anything, or even like for pinching a penny and saving money, or they're just trying to make what they think is the best thing that they can make. Right. And I don't know. It was just maybe it's just me trying to talk shit about this place that I really like eating at, and I'm kind of disappointed in them. Yeah. But it did make me think about that topic in art of like, I mean, I understand that everyone has their own like journey or path or, and whatever. And I don't mean to say it all like that. I actually think that's true. So I'm not trying to like diss anyone who's changing their art to like make money or whatever. And in a way, like people that are doing like illustration work and things like that, they're using their talent to make money, and none of it's their vision. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But I think maybe if you have like that strong opinion of like, this is what I want to create, I think you should probably stick to your guns. But I mean, in that scenario, you probably are anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I guess maybe because I'm not like there's certain things that I don't want to compromise on. I mean, like I paint women a lot. Right. Somebody would have to probably commission me to paint a male nude at this point, just because I'd just rather paint
How much?
I need the cha-ching again.
But yeah.
So there are certain things, but yeah, there's also other times where I have to juggle that thing where landscapes are selling right now, and I'm not selling that many figures, so I gotta paint some more landscapes at this point.
But you enjoy painting both things.
I do, but there's times where I enjoy one more than the other.
And you'll kind of, even though you enjoy painting one, you'll do the other if it's selling more?
If it's selling more, if a show's coming up, just certain things like that. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Like right now, there's some stuff that I need to do for an upcoming show that I've been starting to work on some landscapes, even though I really want to keep working on the figures. Right.
Yeah, it's kind of reminds me. You ever watched the show The Wire? Oh, you have?
I actually have.
Fuck. That's a first. Waiting to drive first. We got that? Is that
holy guacamole!
I didn't have that one, but that works.
Yeah, it totally works. But there's a part in the show where the guy Omar, he's like this fucking guy who robs from drug dealers, right? And he's he's just super hood, and and there's a point where he snitches on the guys, and they're like blah blah, and he's like, every man, and he does it for a reason, because they did something to a man he loved.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
And so one of the things he says is like, a man's got to have his codes, like,
right.
And to me, that's such a really well put, concept of you might be willing to adjust your art based on what's selling, but I think at some point you have to be like, and this line I can't cross, I'm willing to do these things, but like in my art career or whatever, I can't do anything past this point. I can't make fucking McDonald's double cheeseburgers or whatever. I have to make something that I believe in a little bit, as far as, even if it's just quality being the determining factor, or whatever, or subject matter.
Right. Yeah. I've turned down a lot of group shows because deadlines coming up. I can't do a good job with this much time.
For sure.
And then also there's theme shows where I'm just I'm not. If, for example, somebody hit me up for a Game of Thrones theme show, and I was like, well, I've never seen that show, but I can tell you some people who have seen the show.
Don't you dare point on my direction.
MJ.
But yeah. I mean, that's the that's the other thing. Yeah, is having a gallery or someone being like, can you paint this? And you're like,
right.
No. And sometimes that's feels bad because you're friends with the gallery or whatever, and you don't want to say no to things.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think holding true to those things, I've also done theme shows I didn't want to be a part of, but then just literally was like, I'm painting something that's nothing to do with it because I don't want to do it.
Or you'll paint disturbing portraits of Michael Jackson to amuse yourself.
What are you talking about? I would never. I did not get asked to do that show again. But yeah, it's that I don't know, protest portrait of Michael Jackson or whatever. That you have to kind of I think as an artist, you have to at the least set a line of these are, my opinions of where my art is and how I want to create it and what I want to do and not fucking change the hot sauce, the spicy almond fucking herb sauce we made that was delicious to curate to the group of people who are complaining about it. Because what it ends up doing is MJ, who really liked the sandwich, she goes it's not as good anymore. It's not as good. And then now you lost the person who aligned with your vision, right? Of what good was, because you changed for the fucking other people who might not even be, I don't know, who obviously don't know shit about roast beef sandwiches, but about your art. I think at some point you have to stay true to yourself, and the people that love what you're doing will find you and will be they'll kind of align in some mental, I'm talking woo-woo, but you know what I mean? People that love your shit for what you love to do, I think will find you. And that relationship is much more important to me than someone who wants a watered down version or a pulled back version of what your direction you're wanting to go in or create.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, because if you're looking, they want that Joshua Lawyer hot sauce. They come to you for the hot sauce.
Come see me, bro. I got it.
So it's those people that they're the ones who are going to be the big fans of yours. The people who understand that
for sure.
And I guess I was thinking about this when we were talking about pricing earlier, but it kind of comes down to, or I guess we could just segue into our pricing talk. Oh, are we? Okay.
Amateur.
I just got lost in my own thoughts.
Yeah. And so we're re-talking about pricing again. Yeah, go ahead.
But what we're talking about was, oh God, we have to kind of circle back to
we'll start over. So we talked about pricing last week with Delphine, and it was a great conversation. I really enjoyed that conversation, actually.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it, for the past couple days after recording with her, I was like, good conversation. Really made me think about pricing in general and the whole concept of size. And you threw it on your Instagram and got a good amount of feedback from people who, artists large and small, who had their own opinions about it. And a lot of people said sizing is kind of what they base it off of. And maybe that's their initial mark. And then they kind of like
baseline,
go. And then I know I kind of put my 10 cents in, or 50 cents in, who knows, because someone mentioned like time spent being like should be a determining factor, right?
Yeah.
And that's probably based off of their own opinion of their own art.
Right.
And then another person talked about mediums and if that should change the price. And I think, are we caught up now? Are we get to go off the thought you were going, or should we keep going?
Yeah, we were also talking about pricing by size, determining, I guess, we were talking about like, just because it's a big painting or a really tiny painting doesn't mean I'm going to think it's worth more than another.
Right.
And, but I guess the thing that makes it worth something to you in your eyes is how much the painting shows, I guess, both a level of skill and how much you're into the concept being depicted in the art as well.
Right. I think what we said kind of was that the like really large paintings and really small paintings, there is this technical element that does kind of add something to the painting. And it does add this like shock and awe or whatever to us, a very small painting, a very large painting, which we kind of like, I think we both agreed that kind of does mean something. But as far as like a large, like a painting being large, making it more valuable doesn't necessarily apply. I mean, I think that's like a special rule, at least for me. It's like super large painting done really well, amazing. Super small painting done really well, that's amazing as well.
Right.
But even if the painting was medium, it'd probably still be an amazing painting.
Right.
But the whole idea was that just because you used a certain amount of canvas or wood panel or whatever you're painting on, just because you painted on a 6x6 canvas doesn't mean it gains value. Unless, I think we talked about your art being, it can like scale.
Right.
But
it's the same amount of effort basically and same level of skill involved, but it just scales from one size to the next. Yeah. And then we were talking about mediums, comparing one to another. Yeah,
and that's something that I kind of apply to my work as far as like, if it's an oil painting, I will price it more than if it's a mixed medium. And I think a big part of that is based off of time. It takes a lot longer. Also, I think oil just kind of ages better than my mixed medium work. So oil just lasts forever. So I think, and I don't know how long my mixed medium stuff will last. I have no clue. So it's like, all right, well, I mean, you're taking that gamble buying that. I'm assuming that it's not going to deteriorate in your lifetime, at least not fully. Unless you put it in the sun. But yeah, it's and that for me is like the logic behind my pricing variable. But we talked about. God, I got to stop saying we talked about it. But it's also like watercolors and you were saying, God. So for you, it's like watercolors and oils and what's the other one? Gouache. You price differently.
Right. Just because it's not my medium that I consider myself an expert in.
And I bet you have a friend who hates that.
Hi, Heather. Because we talked about it a bunch before because I did when I was doing my little Black Friday sale.
Right.
She kind of got on my ass because I priced some really tiny gouache paintings super cheap.
Right.
So she was like, I'm pretty mad at you for pricing your gouache so much less than your oil. And then, so we talked about that for a bit and like me and her, we kind of discussed it. And I was just like, well, yeah, my gouache is just those paintings in particular, like I've done like really involved gouache paintings that I put in galleries and all that.
Right.
But those paintings in particular were sketchy, kind of just paintings that I did in like 20 to 30 minutes. So I just didn't feel like I needed to put a high price on them. And also, what was I going to say about it?
It's also the thing about someone like people that paint in watercolor that are amazing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're just amazing. Like their skill level at that is different than, me trying to do a watercolor. And I think that allows them to price watercolor the same as if I would price something that I'm very comfortable in.
Right. Exactly.
Or higher depending on the artist, because some people are crazy good.
Like for example, Benjamin Bjorklund, both his watercolors and oils are really similar in that way.
Right.
But like another example, there's this watercolorist who I think is amazing, and I don't know if he's even does oils at all, but I bet if he painted in oils, it'd probably look pretty clunky compared to his watercolors. So I'm not gonna want to paint or pay the same for his little oil sketch.
Yeah, shout out to that artist, whoever he is. So, I mean, I think, I don't know, it's tricky because I think in the art world there is this weird, like, thing where there are some mediums that are, more valuable than others.
Right.
In people's eyes, but
right.
It's just kind of like the size thing to me. And like, it's like this lack of knowledge from the collectors and maybe from the galleries a lot of times where they don't have those tools to kind of explain why someone is great. So they go like, oh, bigger is better. Done. Mm-hmm. Oh, this medium is the best. This medium. I don't think there's like a group of people. I mean, like deciding these things, but I think that's literally kind of the idea that goes behind it in some weird way of like, bigger is better. These mediums are regarded as better than other mediums, and like, and I think that's just lack of knowledge and lack of being able to determine what art is really good and what art isn't good. So they go like, me and MJ have had this conversation. I think you were a part of it last week where we were like, I don't know if a gallery can tell the difference between like a really, like most galleries. I don't want to talk about them all, but there's for sure galleries that I know of.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was there for
this. The difference between being good and like great. They have trouble seeing the difference, and so
and that awkward conversation you have to have when you're like, don't you love this person's
work? Like, oh, isn't this person great? And you're like, I don't know. I'm usually like, that's kind of my thing. It's all right or whatever. But usually they're all right. Like they're not, and that's kind of like an interesting thing to notice when you see some galleries and they're so hyped on an artist. So you're like, well, if I don't know, maybe there's something behind this that I'm not getting with the concept, which I don't think is the scenario, but as far as like technique, they're not like anything special,
right?
Nothing above a college graduate or art college graduate is kind of I feel like the bar of where artists are.
Yeah.
Shout out to Picasso.
Shots fired.
The wrong button.
But so I think that's why those things exist. I think this is my opinion I think that's why these things exist. Why mediums might be priced better or more, or size might be valued more, other than like the super big and super small. That's its own like little world. But I think that is just lack of knowledge, and they're just trying to make sense of what's good and what's bad based on things they can wrap their head around.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then most people probably don't have a good basis on what makes a good painting when you're really getting into like comparing one artist or the other. They're just going off of what speaks to them in the moment. So they look to a gallery curator because they're like, well, they're the expert, obviously. So, it comes to that. But what I was now we're finally circling back to what the thing I wanted to talk about was since like we're all talking about kind of going a different route that's dealing more with dealing more with collectors without the gallery's involvement. How much we're willing to be the educator in that way, like talking like how do we as artists explain to people why our art is worth more than, I don't know, the average artist. I don't know how you phrase that.
I don't know. That is a good thing to think about, probably. Because it would, if you are trying to make that maneuver out of working with galleries or trying to be more self-sufficient and sell directly to collectors, I think, I mean, you should be able to, I don't know. It's tough, right?
Right.
Because we've all heard the snake oil salesman in the art world, you know,
sure,
where you're like, oh, they're feeding people a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
And, people are eating it up like spicy roast beef sandwiches
exactly.
or some shit. You know, and I don't know. That's tricky because, at least for me, if I think about the artists that I really am inspired by that are living today, you know, that are really doing great work in my eyes, I think there is, you know, the technical aspect that I really appreciate. They're all really, really good technically, but there is that weird little, you know, fucking people say the it factor, which I fucking hate in the Hollywood world. But there is that little bit of magic or something that is special about their work. And it's hard to kind of put your thumb on what that is exactly.
Yeah.
So as far as talking to collectors, I don't even know if you would want to talk to them about other people's work.
Oh, not about other people's work. More just about what makes your work stand out. If you're trying to sell it, I suppose because I mean,
maybe I should get a hype guy, hype man.
Yeah,
flavor something.
Just have a guy with the air horn go around. Yeah. But because you can't realistically expect everybody who collects your work to have a deep knowledge of painting and art.
Right.
The way that we do, because we deal with it all the time.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about. Because I mean, usually when I talk to collectors of my work, what ends up happening is we go into the concept world.
Right.
I don't think I ever really talked to them about the technical aspect of it. So it would be interesting to kind of even ask them how important that is to them as a collector.
Yeah.
You know, and see how much thought they put into that. That's interesting. I don't know. I would definitely be interested in talking to a collector.
Yeah.
About that.
For sure. So, the concept, though, that's what they gravitate toward when they see your work. Then,
I don't know, because they might not even, they might just ask about it after they have it, or you know, it might just come up. They might just be into the piece, and then I might then dive into why that thing was created in the first place.
I see. Yeah.
I mean, it varies. Some people are very what does that mean? I mean, I've sold I mean, I could think of a specific moment in the show where I sold a piece based off of just the concept, and he was going to buy, I sold I think 2 or 3 paintings to this person, but he was only going to buy 1 or 2, something like that. And then he ended up buying 1 more, I think. I can't remember the details, but it was just based off of the whole concept, and then him, you know, kind of whatever, being oh, I have to have that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
Well, yeah, that's kind of telling, though, isn't it? There is something to be said for being able to communicate your worth as an artist in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder though, like the people who are making a lot of money as artists, like independently, if they're just those people who have figured that out better than the rest of us. I don't know.
I don't know either. Here's a random question. Have you ever had an art show and like, like the gallery will introduce you to someone and you're like talking to this person. Then like maybe you've talked to them for like a good chunk of time. Then after like talking to them for like 30 minutes or an hour, you're like, oh, you ain't buying shit. You just like are some random stranger I'm talking to
constantly.
And now I'm like, great. I could have been like talking to my friends, hanging out with my friends at the least.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. There was, a few years ago at this gallery show, I was in LA. I don't know anybody in LA, especially collectors. So, the curator there, introduced me to some guy and he, was talking to me. He kind of introduced himself the way it was presented to me, it sounded like he was somebody important, like some sort of collector and all that. And even how he like dove into the question he asked me, he had this sort of like long kind of setup. It sounded like it was going to go deep and all this. And and by the time he actually like got around to asking what he really wanted to ask, which was like something about like the models, if I like shoot them nude or some bullshit like that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, like after 20 minutes, we finally got to the heart.
He's like, you got those pictures I could get?
Yeah, exactly. Might as well just ask.
Can you email me those reference shots?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, God damn it. That was probably the most egregious one I can remember, but all the time.
I don't know. But one point I did want to make about the pricing thing which we mentioned earlier, which I'll say fucking for the 100th time, because whatever. But after this, we have nothing. Everything's going to be new after this. So I can stop saying this shit. Yeah. But one of the big points I think for me that I made was just that, I think that art, like what I think is like a great piece should be the baseline. It's like, if I think it's a really good piece, me, the creator of this piece, that should be the determining factor. And then maybe I can put in like a variable of like size and time and mediums and all these things. But I think for me, the baseline is like my opinion about this piece and how much I think it is in my body of all my works. How important is this for me? How good did I execute it? How happy am I about that piece? And that to me, I know it sounds like weird and might sound like dumb to people or whatever, because it's tough to like put your thumb on what that means. But I don't know, for an artist, I think, at least for me, when I create something that I'm really happy about, is very rare to be like really stoked on whatever I just did. And that to me is usually like, okay, this is a piece I'm really, really happy about. And I will price it as such, because this doesn't come around. Usually I'm nitpicking the shit out of everything I do. Yeah. So if I can feel that feeling, then I'm going to price it higher based on that, on I nailed this. And this is something rare and special, in my opinion, of creating. And so, I don't know, for me that is kind of important. It's even like, like for instance, like an artist you might really like, right? And then you'll see them kind of like get worse, maybe because they've stretched themselves out too thin or something like that, but they've kind of like watered down their work. Their roast beef sandwich isn't as spicy as it used to be. Yeah. And their work earlier, or at some point, was like the peak of their work, right? And you're like, oh, I wish they'd go back to like this when they were really fucking killing it.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And to me, that means that art is the best art. That should be worth way more than the watered down shit they were creating. They did build a reputation on that work, so they get the freedom of overpricing the shittier work, in my opinion, for more money.
Right.
And maybe those pieces are worth more to collectors, and they're in someone's home. So if they decided to put them on the market, maybe it would be priced higher than their new stuff. I don't know, but
yeah, that we talked about. Oh, it's this the same person that it was probably not on this recording version, but the guy who to paint quicker started hiding hands and turning faces. That was something that we noticed. My friend who we were discussing his work, and it was that thing where it's like, yeah, your early work was badass, and like we all think that stuff is good, and what we're looking at nowadays, like, yeah, you definitely stretch yourself too thin for that.
Yeah, I definitely have friends like that too, who or even if they're doing a group show, the quality is way higher than if they do a solo show, because in a group show you have one piece, and in a solo show you have to fill all these walls, and they're stretching themselves thin, and you go like,
it's almost like they have something to prove again.
Yeah, and usually the prices don't change between that group show and the solo show. And
right.
And you're like, I wouldn't want to pay for that solo show piece because it's not as good. But if the determining factor is size and that's the baseline, then to me that's an easy, like, well, then you're going to make it's fair game. I don't know. But to me, it's like night and day. It's like I would never pay for that because it's not worth that to me.
Yeah.
And what's the difference then? If I mean, there is that. We did talk about the consistency being a very big part of it, but
right.
But I don't know if that's necessarily factored into everyone's thing. Did we talk about the code in this one or no? I can't fucking remember.
God damn it.
But yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we were talking about like chefs, like the ones who.
Yeah. I don't know if I brought it up in this one or the earlier not recording, but I talked about The Wire and how.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And how, there's the character Omar in The Wire. I think that's right when we realized that.
Oh, sure.
And there's a point where, if anyone's watched The Wire, they know who Omar is. He's like this guy who robs drug dealers, and he's kind of like.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you asked me if I'd seen The Wire.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. And then you were like, holy guacamole.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first time Sergio's watched anything. And last, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, there is, he's like the boogeyman to drug dealers. So he's like this, like, I don't know, badass or something like that. He's just fucking like, if drug dealers are afraid, these like hardcore killers are afraid of you, you must be. And he follows these rules that are like kind of dictated by the area he lives in, which is Baltimore in the show, just a grimy ass area. And no disrespect. And there's a point where he snitches on people that hurt, like this guy who was like his lover in the show. And he snitches on them. And the thing he says in the show is like, every man has to have this code, which is kind of like, I don't know, this cliche thing and this like overused thing, but it is a great concept of like, I have to set up these values especially as an artist. I think it applies to us so well, where it's like, I have to like set up these values and these morals of what I'm willing to do and not do in my art based off of who I am as a human being. And like, it's like, I don't know how I tied this into the other shit, but I think it goes back to that roast beef sandwich of like not cutting corners and not, but it's
not using shitty bread or something.
And and as far as like the quality of your work not deteriorating based upon, the fact that you can get away with that, a bit, of selling pieces based off of your reputation because you worked your ass off early on, and now you get to like be a shittier artist or something, or you have a solo show. So now I get to show, you know, I get to push out work that I know isn't up to par, but I just have to fill these walls. Like maybe just don't take the show.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, that's tough for most people to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Or most artists. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just give yourself a 2-year deadline or something where you know you can really develop work. But it's tough because you need money to live in this world, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And even the analogy that I was making earlier too was about the hot sauce. Like, well, I mean, if I stick with the hot sauce thing, maybe and people just aren't into it, then maybe I'll make my my new like Dijon sauce or whatever the fuck that people are into more, and I'll keep making my hot sauce paintings for myself.
For sure. Yeah, definitely don't pigeonhole yourself and like feel like you're obligated to make the fucking hot sauce.
Yeah.
You know, you can like, I think you can abandon ideas you have, but I think the difference is abandoning it
being
for the
clear
right reasons.
being clear on the right reason why you're doing it. Yeah, for sure.
No one's stopping you from making your Dijon mustard paintings. But yeah, you know, it's this whole world where you have to figure out how to monetize this thing, and there's different avenues to doing so. You know, whether you're just like making a shitload of merch or something like that and making a ton of money that direction or whatever. Right. I think like having that code of like why you're doing this and what's important to you, and making sure that stays, even if those opinions change throughout time. You know, something you might be anti the man as like a young youth kid and being like, I need to spread the word, you know, like down with the government, up with whatever. And you might change your opinions on what you think is important. But I think you need to set yourself up to allow you to stick to, like, if quality, at least for me, it's so important that that's not going to change for me, whether or not my opinion of, you know, being anti the man or, you know, or whatever changes through life. Yeah. It's like, this is important to me, you know? And so, I don't know where I'm going with that. I think I lost steam along the way. My Machic, just crashing hard.
He burned through your matcha.
Yeah, on our first recording.
But yeah, on the same subject of needing that revenue coming in no matter what. That's part of the reason I'm developing that the online course thing, to hoping for it to give me some cushion so that I don't have to take those shows that they might not necessarily want to take. I can having some revenue coming in while I work on what I want to work on.
Right. Yeah, and that to me is way more like commendable than fucking up your art. Right. To me, like there's millions of ways to make money in this world. So if you're super passionate about something, why fuck that up for money reasons when you can just do other things for money reasons that maybe you're not so into, or maybe you are, but at least to me, you know, this goes back to me finding art being like holding it very precious and like dear to me. So yeah, it's tough to kind of think of it as like, what do people want from me, or like what will sell, or what, you know, it's like, I just have this idea of what I think is good, which is open to change, but I'm going to pursue that, you know, and it's going to morph into whatever I think is good at the time for sure. But at least I'm pursuing that rather than other people's thoughts of what my art should be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting way to come to the art world with your morals already sort of figured out more or less. Because for me, I started out like as my fine art, when I first started going at it full time, it was more of a thing where I just need to get my artwork out there.
Right.
And I just need to, so I was just taking like every group show that would have me for years, really. And then as I got more confident in my work and started to find a lane for myself, then like the actual, like, okay, what do I actually want for my work and where do I actually see it being? So for me, it's like been a slow sort of discovery, I guess you could call it, for figuring out what's actually important to me.
For sure. Huh. And that is, well, have you figured it out yet?
Still working on it. I'm only painting chicks, no dudes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if like these values were something I had when I was younger. I know my art has always been kind of this precious thing to me. But I mean, I think that applies to like my upcoming, like me being brought up as like, a broke ass kid. It's like I will always have paper and pencil and kind of this thing to kind of get me through life kind of mentality, and so that's that. It just always holds a special, spot in my heart.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where to go. I think we've talked that through. So now
probably.
Did you want to bring up? I know you had these things you wanted to talk about a bit.
Oh yeah.
We can segue to that to kind of steer us in the direction what to talk about next. All right, so you had me pull up a couple things. Do we have a Do you have a noise for current events?
Not yet.
All right, so what do you want to talk about first?
Let's see. We could talk. We'll start with maybe we'll start with this one first.
This one, okay.
Yeah. So, I found this through a art.
So it looks like it's a book.
Yeah, it's a book, but what was interesting about it was what they tried to do with the concept for the book in the hope of social justice.
Uh-oh.
So
here we go, guys. Hold your butts.
Yeah.
That one's cool. I like that piece.
Yeah, the art is cool. It's really got nothing to do with the art itself. So,
cool.
Yeah, I like that one too. I don't even know who the artist was in that.
Who cares? Who cares about the artist? It's all about the art.
So the post that made me look into it, somebody said, I just found out about American Illustrators' ham-fisted attempt at making a statement, quote unquote, with this year's annual. What a textbook example of how not to do it. And I was like, oh, what's that about? So he wrote, for those like me who didn't know, to illustrate the underrepresentation of women in the field, they separated out the work by female illustrators, put it in the back of the book, and printed it 17% smaller for the pay gap. So,
did I just close that whole fucking thing?
Maybe you did. Was it Chrome? It should.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just I know how to pull it up. But yeah, so they put the women's art in the back?
Yeah.
So they punish the women to teach us a lesson?
Right. That's exactly the point that everyone was making. It was like, wait, why do like, in the attempt to like illustrate your point, like, why do you just did the same thing that you complained, or you were trying to make you were trying to point an example out by being that example.
Yeah,
sort of. They're
like, look how big of an asshole we are.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, I don't got much to say other than like, God damn it. I don't know. I have too many opinions on that I don't want to talk about.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Get to it.
You're trying to get me to rant, Sergio. I'm on to you. I mean,
anyways, we could just
I've more opinions about like what they're trying to say than their effort to like bring awareness or whatever. I'm like, all right, well.
Oh, about like the pay gap being a thing that's not really a thing.
I don't know what you're talking about, Sergio. But yeah,
well, it's
I
a
don't know.
thing, but I don't
Everyone, I don't know. They put so much importance in like, obviously their book that they were like, well, you know what, we need to like do our part,
right,
and like bring awareness. It's like, who doesn't know these fucking numbers? Like Barack Obama put these numbers out there. So like, I don't think your reach is going to bring awareness more than the president at the time, the president of the United States, when he brought these numbers to everyone's, awareness. So I don't know. To me, it's like, all right, cool, bro. Like no one's buying this book and doesn't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what's funny about it to me, where it's like the people who were trying to, I don't know, I guess kind of preach to the converted, it kind of bit them in the ass.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, this is like not anything worth talking about. It's like, I don't know. It's art is so lame sometimes. God, they're so like pat themselves on the back sometimes, and not
for
like
sure
anything interesting going on about it. You're like, okay, cool, cool guys. You guys are so great. How about that?
Which is why it's so hard to find current events for art a lot of the time.
It's just a bunch of lame asses doing lame shit that they think is great. Like,
right.
We're such good people. You did nothing, literally. No one changed their opinion based off of your actions.
You just antagonized your group that you were trying to...
It's not worth talking about at all.
Right, yeah.
Probably the least I want to talk about any current event we've ever had. That garbage of a thing they did.
It's hilarious. The Reddit thing. Yeah, we could do that.
So the Reddit thing?
This is more of a... I don't know if there's much to say about this one either. I just found it hilarious.
All right.
Maybe it's just...
Are you pulling it up or do you want to...
It'll probably just be easier for me to look at on my phone.
Why is this not big enough for you?
Just because I have to crane my neck to see it.
It's got weak neck, people.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's been saying.
So this was just something somebody... I forget where I even found this. Probably on Facebook, but somebody...
Not on Reddit.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even on Reddit that I first found it. Somebody linked to it. Have you heard of the subreddit called Choosing Beggars?
No.
Okay. Well, it's just basically stories of people trying to be cheap asses.
Okay.
And so there was a story about an artist who got hit up for doing, a commission or whatever. And so it says, I draw as a hobby and for my family, but will do commissions from when I have free time. This quote unquote friend wanted a picture of herself to be drawn for free because she's a college student. So so she screenshotted her conversation with this person. And I guess I'll just do some audio theatah to get it.
Yeah, can we have the little high class tune thing?
Yeah, where is it again? Fancy music.
Welcome. Joining us at the theater of arts.
Waiting to Dry presents Audio Theatah.
Presents Screenshot.
Yes.
A Reddit conversation thread.
Yeah. So, okay. Says, I guess I'll just read it. Hi, it's me. Blanked out name told me you draw really good portraits, and this is kind of weird since we haven't spoken in years, but I was wondering if you could help me draw a picture of me. Sure, depending on what you want drawn, it might take a little long. I'm still new to watercolor, but I'll try my best. All my pictures are on 9 by 12 inch paper, and I have a fixed price of $50 per picture. Just send me what you want to draw and I'll work on it whenever I'm free. She goes, wait, you charge for these things? I thought you draw it for free. I mean, 9 by 12 isn't even that big of a paper. It shouldn't take long, right? I'm sorry, drawing or painting is really time consuming for me. I don't believe $50 isn't too much considering I typically put several hours into my drawings. Okay, but like, I'm a college student. I have to pay for tuition, textbooks, etc. Do you think you can do it for free this one time, PLS? I'm also a college student. We are literally the same year. We graduated together.
PLS stands for poop lava stream.
Yeah.
Poop joke number 1.
Yeah. My hands are full. Sorry, guys. I am also a college student. We are literally the same year. We graduated together. I also have tuition, textbooks, etc. to pay for. I'm really sorry, but I'm not willing to put in hours of effort for free when I'm busy with other things. Really? What things are so important that you can't do one little favor for a friend? Okay, first of all, I already told you that drawings are very time consuming, and it's not a little favor. Like I said, I'm too a college student. Spring semester starts up in less than 2 weeks. I need to study for MCAT. I need to volunteer at the hospital, to shadow physicians. I need to work to afford college. I also need to work to get money for college. That's why I needed this picture for free. I can't afford $50 for some dumb picture. So while I can't afford to spend several hours of my life drawing some dumb picture for some dumb entitled quote-unquote friend who can't understand the world does not revolve around her. I can't believe I was friends with such a Birch like you. She spelt it B-I-R-C-H. I ask you for
Birch?
one... Yeah. I asked for one simple favor and you treat me like this. Your drawings suck anyways, and I could find somebody better to draw it for me.
Ooh, shots fired.
I was going to post your drawing on my Instagram and tag you, but I guess not anymore.
Oh, how many followers you have? Like 7?
Yeah, exactly.
100 or 7?
You can have fun trying to find people who will actually pay for your trash drawings. And her response was K. I like K. That's a good way to end things.
I know some people that use K to end things and they're not trying to be sassy, and it annoys the fuck out of me.
Really?
I'm like, how dare you just write K as like, I'm like, yeah. But I think I know what thread you're talking about now that you've read that, because I've seen I'm on Reddit a decent amount. And,
yeah.
There's always like some guy on Craigslist who's like, hey, I want to buy this couch or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it cool if I give you $200 and can you bring it to my apartment? They're like, it was $1,200.
Yeah.
And I said, no, you have to come and pick it up. They're like, stop being rude. Like, just come and drop it off. I'll give you the 200.
Yeah.
People are so unaware of their own actions sometimes. You're like, wow, you don't even get how stupid you sound.
Right, yeah. I was like, is this even real?
That's how I feel all the time. I'm reading those like...
So, yeah, they were making fun of her. Like, the whole thing was like, oh, she's such an entitled
Wait, so
Birch.
why did you send me this link?
Huh? Just so I had it?
This link says, like, a few semesters ago, a good friend of mine committed suicide.
Oh, okay. I sent it to myself because the thread is actually at the bottom. I couldn't link to the thread itself. I had to click on one of the person's links.
I see. I was like, why did you send me this? Nothing to do with what you're reading. Oh, you forgot to hit the little sound and we could exit out of your theater.
Oh. Coerce.
And that has been an episode of, what do we call it?
Waiting to Dry, Audio Theatahh.
Credits are Sergio as female, Sergio as male artist. Here's a question. How come when you acted out the girl's voice, it was obviously you acting out a girl, but then when you acted out the artist, it just seemed like you were playing yourself? Like...
I feel like
did you screenshot that? No, what I'm saying is, were you the artist in the scenario?
Oh. Yeah, that's my name on Reddit. Follow me at, I don't remember the name.
Close the tab. Yeah, so whatever. That lady sucked.
Yep.
I got no opinion on that other than, I mean, we all know how that... people don't understand. I mean, if you have any kind of art skill, you probably have people reaching out to you on social media and being like, I want to buy a piece. And you're like, right. Oh, cool. Because you have to treat all of them like they're art buyers. And you're like, oh, that's great. Here are my prices. Then you go like, cricket. And you're like, okay, well, goodbye.
Yep.
I don't know if you... Yeah, I don't know if you have... a go-to response to people wanting to buy your work do you just send them to your website or you?
I usually ask them, and if prices get involved, I'll ask them like what I'll first ask them what they're looking for. And if they give me a pricing, or sometimes they'll just actually lately it's been my go-to question first is like, what's your budget? like how much can you spend realistically?
I like when it's a specific piece that I've already created.
Sure.
So either hopefully it sold, well, not hopefully it didn't sell, and I can just send them to either the gallery that's showing it and be like, oh, this is the price, this is the gallery, and then maybe I might get a sale out of it. But if not, then kind of like I'll email the gallery and let them know like, oh, I'm sending this person your way, keep an eye out, maybe.
Yeah.
And they kind of also know like, okay, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. Take the work off my shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually worked out a couple times for me.
Me too. But when it doesn't, I don't have to do the work.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just like,
wash my hands of it.
Exactly. We probably sound like assholes right now. But yeah, it's tricky because it's like, especially with social media, it is a part of as an artist, your business. And there is like, for instance, like the whole, like, what pencil do you use kind of question.
Yeah.
Like I get that so much, so much.
No amount of FAQ will change that.
I haven't even done FAQ on my drawing stuff, but it's like, dude, it's a pencil.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a mechanical pencil with just like normal mechanical lead. It's like, what are you looking for? There's no answer, man. There's no answer here that's going to save you from doing what you're doing. Just hard work in your art, which, is the solution. Not a mechanical pencil I'm using going to somehow change your world. And you're going to be like, oh, now I'm this, or whatever. So,
yeah, it comes back to that. I think we made that point on the podcast before, where if it's somebody who is like a legit artist and they ask you, then it's like, oh, okay, well, this might actually help you because you can tell the difference between a cheap little Bic mechanical pencil and like a nice Pentel graph gear or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But it drives me nuts. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, same thing with pricing and that thing where you want to like kind of like I'll address usually my go-to for pencil now is like just pick a pencil, feels good in your hand and draw with it. Like that's all you need, man. And then or woman. Thanks a lot, American Illustrator. Book for teaching. But sorry, that was kind of sassy. But yeah, the pricing is kind of the same thing where you get this question so often that it kind of makes you, I don't know, like it gives you what you like. I as an artist want to like do this like I'm already going into it negative about being like, fuck this person.
Too jaded already.
Yeah, exactly. And just, I don't know, maybe I got to change my mindset and start thinking about how to maneuver to, even if I don't sell the painting, to be like, I can give you this print for this price.
Right.
Or like just try to think of it as like a salesman mentality of like, you want to purchase something, maybe this is going to be too pricey. I have to start thinking of how I can maneuver to maybe selling you something else so I can become a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, only need 999,999,000, all the nines until one penny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I've kind of, even with what pencil, I mean, there is a point where I just ignore them depending on how many times I've answered the question.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm done. I'm done here. We are done. But for the most part, I try to keep for the most part, I try to keep like a nice light-heartedness about that.
Yeah.
And I think I have to like set my brain to also think that way when people reach out about pricing.
It'll probably be easier once you have your website with stuff to sell.
Yeah, that's true. I need to set that up. My goal was to do that by January, and I failed. All right, by the end of February, I will have something. I put it online, so it has to be true now.
Yeah. Speaking of pencils and stuff, do you like the pencil or the paper on that that you got from the paper store? Sorry. Wait, what did I say? God damn it. I think I said things. I think I said it backwards, didn't I?
God damn, that was like the sloppiest question I've ever heard. You were like, did you like the pencil? Wait, paper? Wait, how did it work?
Yeah.
Go now. What do you say?
I'm sick.
Do you want to try that one more again?
Yeah. It's like starting my intros. I have to gear up for it.
Yeah, we've already recorded this twice, so.
Yeah. The paper you got from the store,
oh, yeah.
the local store. Do you like the
we
pencil
didn't even
on
talk
it
about
more?
that at all.
Oh, right. That's right. God damn.
Yeah, I got this new paper, which I'm doing loose drawings on from a paper company in town.
Yeah. How does it compare to your usual, or at least your former sketchbooks?
Yeah, I'm really into it. It's exactly what I've been looking for in paper. I really like a smooth surface. I haven't tried anything like watercolors or anything on it, but I probably won't. Maybe some like acrylics or something like that, or gouache or something. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I'm not like a fan of hot press paper that much either. So yeah, when it comes to watercolor, the more texture, the better for me. I just like
for
it
sure.
More. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. So yeah, it's but yeah, I got this new paper that's yellow toned, and I'm so fucking stoked on it.
Yeah.
I've been looking for this kind of paper for probably like over 5 years, not even kidding. And I finally found the paper I've been looking for, and so far it reminds me of the old moleskin paper. And so far it's looking like it's gonna be my paper of choice, and now I have to figure out how to make it into a sketchbook that I like.
Yeah.
Which I know we pointed you into that paper place direction, and you made some sketchbooks.
Yep.
So maybe I can look at yours and see, because you said it's a spiral bound one, and that to me hurts my brain.
Yeah.
I hate spiral bound notebooks.
I'll show you after the podcast.
For sure. But yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, I have no idea where you can get hardbound binding done for your own paper.
Yeah. I don't know.
Listeners.
Or I can just make my own. I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard. I've seen plenty of people do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just poke a bunch of holes, put a bunch of thread through it.
Oh, that
and
way.
Voila.
Yeah.
It's probably way harder than that, but
yeah.
I'm going to tell myself that. So you have this other thing you wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah. This is pretty cool. I just got put onto it by Plague of Crows. Shout out.
Shout out.
He's becoming the new David Chaffetz of this podcast.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Or the Monty guy. Shout out.
Yeah. Oh, you guys. Shout out.
Or Bryce. Shout out.
Yeah.
Listen, that is.
Yeah. So this is a new video game called GRIS. I think it's still in development. And the art director is this artist, Conrad Rosette, who I've followed for a really long time.
And unfollowed. When did you unfollow her? Or him?
Him. Last night.
Because Conrad's a girl and boy name, obviously.
Yeah. So yeah, if you go to, what's the name of this? It's Nomada Studio BCN, a Barcelona-based company. It has sort of that European illustrator sensibility to the art itself. But what's really cool about it is if you play one of the videos, it'll show some of the in-game footage. I believe this is all in-game footage, like test footage for it. But what's amazing to me is like how much of like an animation and like really cool.
It kind of reminds me of like anime as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you said European, it made me think that this looks like animated. I mean,
Well, European animation is highly influenced by Japanese.
so biting that style.
But yeah, I just thought
cool.
that this was a really cool direction that they're taking video games in, where what happens when you can make like the most realistic artwork for, or you know,
The most
animation.
art-based kind of like
Yeah, where do you go from
video
there?
game?
Yeah, and you could take it in this whole different direction of sort of like Cuphead created its own sort of aesthetic for itself
yeah.
too.
What was like the first Red Dead Redemption kind of stylized, or was that? I remember my brothers were playing this like stylized video game. It probably wasn't Red Dead Redemption.
It might have been either Fallout or
Maybe that might have been it.
what do you call it? There was this other one that my brother was playing for a while, and it looked like a comic book. It was a first-person shooter. It was kind of like an RPG, but
I think
it was pretty cool.
Fallout.
Yeah, it probably was. I think Fallout was the one. It's sort of set in like the 50s. Yeah.
I think, but the earlier ones were kind of like more like outlined and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I always thought that was cool. And this one is, I mean, it's nothing's like Fallout, but it does have like its own unique kind of style as far as video game, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of, I remember we talked about it earlier. I forget what episode, but how like it would be interesting to see like an artist and architect get together and kind of develop a building based on the art and them two colliding and making something original and like unique. And
Yeah.
and this kind of makes me think of that, of like where video games is, it kind of got its like, you know, it's like a well-oiled machine. They've kind of got their like way of doing things. And if you get someone who's really art driven, can you make something that's awesome and also like visually amazing as well as like a good product?
Yeah.
Which is hopefully they're going to make a good product.
Yeah. You have to consider, the gameplay of it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it looks amazing. That's all I care about.
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't play video games at all.
Yeah, neither do I.
So,
I would have never come across it myself, but I'm glad I did because,
for sure.
Cool to see I'm going to be looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah, they got some cool stuff for sure going on. Awesome.
Well, there was Sergio's hot pick for today.
Hot picks of the week.
Yeah.
Pretty much of the month, because we probably only do these when we're together.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
So Sergio's hot pick of the month. But yeah, I don't know. It was that's cool. That's cool. I don't know where else you can kind of dip your toes into as an artist. I think that is like a good way of thinking to become someone who can potentially make a good chunk of money while creating something really fucking awesome. Is thinking kind of that way of like, where are the other places I can connect my art to that can make something that is amazing that no one else is doing. That we were just talking about that. Was that with Delphine?
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
About
with our mugs and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had a lot of video game artists on the podcast now.
Yeah.
And they've
but they kind of, their art and their like works.
Right, exactly.
Detached.
It's so different than what they do, but
Yeah.
it would be interesting, like, I don't know, like, for example, Patrick Matthews' black and white style translated to a video game. What would that be like?
Yeah. Or, just any kind of, like I feel like the Gorillas did it too, like they did it with art, and I don't know who the artist is, but they kind of had the art and them making this thing. And
yeah, I think Gorillas was Jim Mahfood, if I remember right. Have you seen that guy's stuff before?
I don't know, probably. How good I am with names, Sergio. How dare you ask me a question like that?
It's like with TV, like one of these days you'll get.
Ask me someone that everyone knows. Ask me an artist everyone knows.
What about Pollock?
African artist or I don't know. I've never heard of them. Except for I've for sure heard of Pollock Fuck That.
Speaking of artists that I didn't hear about until recently, I heard them talk about him on a different podcast. This guy, Romare Bearden, he was a collage artist from like I think he started in the 20s, but he lived a really long time. Like he lived to almost 100. But I was checking out his work, and man, it's amazing. Like I've never really seen anything quite like it.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, that reminds me. Have you seen that documentary, Sergio?
I still can't find
God damn it!
I think I just need to sign up for Netflix.
What is your problem?
I'll write it off as a business expense.
Yeah, it's true. As long as you watch this documentary.
Yeah.
God. Documentary struggle, by the way, is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
God. I want to talk about it so bad, Sergio. Why are you doing this to me? All right. So do you want me to Google this guy?
Sure.
How do you say his name?
Or
how do you write it?
Romare. RE.
Oh, wait. What did I write?
NE. Bearden. Yeah. There you go. Romare Bearden art.
All right.
I guess the images.
This is the guy. He's very old.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just something about the way he collages his work
Like
together.
this stuff?
Yeah.
What do you want me to click on?
I mean, really just kind of scroll through it.
Where's that? This piece is cool.
Yeah, I like the way that everything is sort of stylized.
Mm-hmm.
The way he plays with proportions. It almost becomes sort of cartoonish, but I like the way that he plays around with shapes. Color I'm not that big into, just because I'm not that into a bunch of primaries kind of put together, but the way he does it, I don't mind it too much. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anybody treat collage in this way.
Mm-hmm.
The way he puts these really bright, big shapes next to figures, and then he makes the figures kind of, yeah, like we were saying, stylized, and he plays around with the proportions in his work.
Mm-hmm. Is it super nut jazz music or some shit? Or is this during the civil rights movement?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like Harlem Renaissance. That period is when he first came out. Yeah. But
is that when they created the shuffle, the Harlem?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's not the real Harlem Shuffle.
I know. That's the one that kids know.
Okay. You kids with your hippity hops.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'm not that big into collage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of like collage sometimes, and sometimes
it's probably not something I would ever get into. I'm just not that into collage either as a medium.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone does it well, I like it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I've mentioned him plenty of time, but Mark English, he kind of does some collage shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It blows my mind. It makes me like, maybe I'm wrong about this whole thing. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not anti-collage, but it's never like my cup of tea, which I drank matcha earlier. So.
Yeah. Matcha's your cup of tea.
So I'm not even that big into matcha. I'm a simple green tea guy.
Yeah.
These are fun facts none of our listeners give a fuck about. But yeah, cool stuff. Why did we bring him up?
Just because think of hot picks. Hot picks for the month.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I know we're going to... Are you going to the show tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure because you're sick.
I'm just going to power through it. I'm feeling better.
Brave soul. But yeah, John Wentz has kind of been jumping into the collage
for
thing.
Sure,
That's
yeah.
what we're going to see tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. I'm really interested in seeing his new stuff because he's trying some new stuff, which I'm always a fan of.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw some of his new work, actually, No, I've seen it a couple times, but the time when I first saw the new direction that he was going in was at the 111 minute show that we did. That portrait that it is, and seeing the texture in person, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see more of this.
I don't even know. The minute show we were, I feel like I didn't see shit that show.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that. It's one of those fucking get stuck with a guy that's not going to buy your fucking work.
Yeah, speaking of
scenarios. God damn it. Yeah. But that's that.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I saw John's work, but yeah, I'm very interested.
It was kind of tucked in the corner near where the music was playing, so it would have been hard to kind of get to.
Yeah, and I know when we had him on the show, he was just about to fly out to France, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to go work on it there." So, so he's been working on this show for a good chunk of time, I believe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So hopefully, I know we talked a little bit of shit about people doing solo. Was that first recording, the second one?
What did we talk shit about solo shows?
Not really talk shit, but talk shit about people spreading themselves thin and not allowing themselves enough time to like execute a solo show.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that was, I can't remember.
I think that was this recording.
Maybe, whatever. But either way, I'm sure what I've seen from John's work, I'm like really interested in seeing.
Yeah.
And he also seems like he's going like a million different directions at the same time. So there's like, I'm interested in seeing how much I can pull out of that and figure out where he's going. I also am interested in kind of talking to him about what he's working through and how much, one thing I'm, like you hear comedians talk about it too, where, like where they do their hour or whatever and they record it and then they have to start from scratch, which us as artists, we kind of have the pleasure of not necessarily having that.
Right, exactly, yeah.
We show our work and then we do have to like, we don't like re-show solo shows really. I mean, we might split them up and show them here and there or whatever, but we do have to always be creating new work, but it's different in its own way. Like we're building, styles and things like that or whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
we're somewhere in between comedians and musicians.
Yeah.
Where like musicians, people only want their old shit.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And they don't want to see anything new.
Yeah.
And in a way that's very much for a pressure artists feel sometimes.
Yeah.
But then we also have to just always be creating a new painting. Unless, you're Warhol or some shit.
Yeah. Or Pollock.
Pollock, goddamn. But yeah, fuck. Where was I going with this?
About John Wentz.
Oh yeah, so it is. Yeah, the whole idea of like kind of allowing yourself to, you hear comedians talk about when they're trying to bring new material in, they are like throwing darts at a board. And in a weird way, I kind of feel like that's what John's doing because he's going in so many, like he's doing collaging and all these other things. And I'm wondering if he's throwing darts at a board and seeing what really sticks or not is what I'm trying, or if he has like an overall idea he's kind of like stuck with and being like, this is what I'm trying to do. And I already am focused and now I'm just executing it. Or because there's so many different like things he's adding to these pieces. They're not just like portraits. Some of them are, but then some of them are these like huge collage, weird, like attaching a full book or something to it.
Yeah.
And the frames are kind of like these frames that I can't figure out how they're made. So I want to look at that stuff, but it reminds me of maybe of like a comedian really allowing themselves to explore things and try new things and without, necessarily maybe not committing to it, but putting it out there and kind of, so I don't know. I want to talk to him about that process. We were hoping to get him on the show, but maybe we still might,
he might,
after.
maybe,
but we'll see.
Yeah.
But interesting stuff.
For sure.
But yeah. All right. Well, how long are we on this episode?
Hour 29.
Hour 29? What the fuck, man? See, this happens when you don't recall. I feel like I've literally been talking we have been talking since, I don't know.
2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But
Did you want to talk about the artist we hate thing?
Oh, yeah. I brought that question up with Delphine last week. It's kind of an idea that seemed fun. So, and because I feel like I always am talking shit. So, is there an artist that you hate, Sergio?
That I hate?
We usually ask dead or alive, but this time it's only alive. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. God damn. You put me on the spot.
I'm just fucking kidding.
I'd have to go and see, like, I have to probably dive in and see who I hate. I mean, because, I'm not a Pollock fan either, which makes it easy for me to join in on the trashings too. There's a lot of, I guess it'd be like conceptual artists. Like, I'm not really a fan of, what's his name? Jeff Koons. I don't really care about what he's doing.
For sure. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. Warhol, I never understood the big deal there, other than like the things that people don't even understand they like about him are like kind of bullshit.
He just seems
things.
like a hype machine.
Yeah, that's what it is.
With like a new business model.
Yeah.
Which was very successful.
Yeah. But then, I can respect that, but the art I don't care about at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a weird way, like Pollock's art, like I think it's kind of visually appealing too, but like just like the same way advertisements are, like those classic like I don't know if it's like at the time if I would have thought it is, but I just kind of like that like old advertisement look.
Sure,
So I'm like, if I look at it now, I'm like, oh, it's a cool old Campbell soup ad thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if I saw an old Campbell soup ad, I would think the same thing.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is a cool old Coca-Cola ad.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with being an art genius. It's like advertisement.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I like, is like seeing old advertisement stuff.
Right. And that even makes me respect Warhol's art even less. Because there were people back then who could paint the shit out of a Coke bottle.
For sure. Yeah.
I was like, if I'm a painter, I'm going to want to look at that more.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is like, that's why I would like, in my head, if I look at a world, if there's anything that's like pleasing to me, it's that.
It's almost like for nostalgia.
It's like old advertisement, seeing like how cool it looks because of the datedness of it and what they thought was cool at the time. But it has nothing to do with like him as an artist. And more so like I appreciate advertisement more than his work in a lot of ways. That stuff is like way cooler to me than, and most of his stuff, even then, I like the Marilyn Monroe stuff and all that shit is like, I don't know. It's so garbage. But that's based off of us nowadays living in a world where Marilyn Monroe is so blown out and like, you're like, I don't give a shit about this lady. Literally. Don't care one bit. But yeah, I don't know. That's how I feel about that.
What do you think about Dali?
It's complicated. Because even like recently I saw a piece he did and I was like, fuck, that one's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was something, I forget what piece it was, but it was like really good. And there's other stuff I kind of like, but like the overall his like body of work, especially the stuff he's like really well known for, I don't give a shit. Like that's like my least favorite stuff of his, but let me see if I can find something I like. And I know he used to do like these like funky little like splash things were kind of cool a little bit, but not too much. God, let me get, but yeah, when I was young, I used to be huge into Dali.
Yeah, same here.
And then that faded and
I think as a joke, Plague asked me like, what do I think, or what does Waiting to Dry think of Dali? And I wrote back, kind of half joking, but like I wrote back, he's cool if you're 12.
Yeah. That's how I feel. There's also like this like weird thing. It's like things like this I kind of think are cool.
Huh. Yeah.
Like the Abraham Lincoln portrait thing he did.
Right.
Kind of like it's like, oh, that's cool. But even then I don't even see Dolly in it. And there's another piece I saw that was very similar. It was like, oh, who did that? And it was like Dolly. I was like, fuck, that one's good. God, I can't find it. And I don't know the name of it at all. But yeah.
Yeah, he kind of falls in that same category for me as MC Escher.
Right.
Where like I can look at it and be like the thing about, or the visual tricks about it are almost more impressive than the art.
Yeah. And it's tricky too, because, you know, there is like, I don't know. It's tough because I feel like a lot of why I probably dislike Dolly has to do with things based off of his art nowadays. You know, it's like when you see people who are like Dolly artists and like into Dolly stuff, that like all that stuff seems to influence me a bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't want to talk to you, stoner hippie guy. About Dolly. Please leave me alone. No beef with hippies or people that smoke weed. But you know, it's like, I don't know. And the people that create work that's like Dolly inspired stuff, you know, was like, a lot of times I'm like, oh, come on.
Right.
Things like that. But,
maybe it's just all the imitators that.
Yeah. Like there's definitely a bias based on what living right now. You know, it's like, maybe if we lived then, the stuff he was doing would be like, it's like watching Star Wars if you've never watched Star Wars, you know? It's like if you watched it as a kid, you might think it's cool, but if as an adult I watched Star Wars today, I'd be like, this is a big pile of shit, and I don't know what the hype is about. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's a time era thing, and it just dated itself.
Probably, because I think he was. Well, I know for sure he was influenced by Freud. Like I think a lot of his paintings have to do with like Freud's theories that he directly referenced. But it's those things where like I think he's kind of the Dolly, like Freud is kind of like the Dolly of psychology at this point.
Yeah.
So it's more just like, he's just been kind of done to death at this point.
Yeah,
but that's kind of how I feel about almost every 20th century artist. Like, like there's, you know, Warhol knockoffs, whereas like even the original, I wasn't that impressed with. So, I mean, I put Dolly on a higher tier than Warhol for sure.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, he could paint. You know, he definitely wasn't the shittiest painter. Right. And Warhol, I can't say the same. So unless someone wants to show me some shitty painting he did, tell me it was good.
I think I've seen some shitty paintings of his.
Were they any good?
They're shitty.
Okay, just checking.
I mean, they were just like whatever. Just if I remember right, they're just kind of like, it doesn't look like he put effort into it even. So,
but yeah, I don't know. All those guys kind of. I don't know. There's some. I mean, because even like you know, not Bukowski. Fucking God, what's the name? Now I'm drawing a full-on blank. Black guy, Warhol's homie.
Oh, Basquiat.
Basquiat. There we go.
Charles Basquiat.
Like I feel like his stuff kind of aged well. You know, like
better than I expected.
I'm not a big fan of his work, but like,
me either.
There is like, if you look at Dolly's work, it has this dated feel that you're like, doesn't really look great, at least to me. Yeah. And you know, and some of Warhol stuff too. And I mean, and we all know how I feel about Pollock. I don't think his stuff aged well.
Literally or figuratively.
But I don't think it was like good to begin with. Right. It's like people that eat cottage cheese and fruit. Weirdos. That shit is disgusting. Get away from me. No beef.
It's weird. I used to love cottage cheese as a kid. and now I can't stand it.
With fruit?
No, just like plain cottage cheese.
Okay. I'm okay.
Or with fruit.
Yeah.
With fruit is your beef.
Yeah. That combination.
Okay.
I'm not into cottage cheese either.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Something about when you eat that shit with fruit, you're a fucking weirdo.
Anyone you want to call out?
I don't know. I don't know if people do that. They're probably all old people.
Oh, okay.
But
I thought maybe this was some trend happening right now.
no, I don't think so. But yeah. God, I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, dating. Yeah, but if I look in that group of artists, oddly, Basquiat seem to age, seem to be not feel I feel like someone could make art like that today, in a weird way, where or something similar to that. And
I know what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, and when people make Dali type art, it's not
it's so of that time. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
So I don't know. I wonder how we're going to look back at these days in art.
I wonder about that sometimes. Do you ever think of what's the fashion of the 2000s going to end up like
these 2010s?
Well, even that, but
early.
because when I was growing up in the 90s, I didn't really think of the 90s having a style until way afterwards.
Really? Oh, right, till way afterwards.
Yeah.
And then the early 2000s, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I know what it was. It was fucking Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
So just think about Paris Hilton.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be Von Dutch and
exactly. Von Dutch, those
Affliction.
Jean pants or jean skirts that girls used to wear.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't know
Boot
what
cut
else.
jeans.
Yeah, and fucking, it's going to be bad. Pink bandanas. I feel like that was a thing.
Yeah.
Think of her and Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, trucker hats.
Yeah, and early Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
So
Pop
polo
collars,
shirts. Yeah.
God damn it.
Hopefully the fashion doesn't go back then. It's funny when you see kids nowadays who are trying to be retro, and there's a blending of 80s to I feel early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's they're wearing those
and then neon colors for some weird reason.
What do you call it? Acid washed jeans that go up to your belly button, but then mixed with I don't know, some other thing that's not from the early 90s.
MJ told me that jean skirts are becoming a thing.
Oh, really?
Really? It's it's happening. It's fucking. But yeah, I don't know. I do think about it in the art sense though, of even early 2000 stuff that early juxtaposed stuff.
Yeah,
in that kind of realm, there is some of that work that I already feel is kind of aged badly. And
yeah. And stuff that was ultra trendy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then thinking about that nowadays, and it's weird because a lot of the trends right now, I'm I think it's really good stuff, but there's definitely some artists doing it shittily.
Right.
Shittily? Yeah, shittily.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. But yeah. So I don't know. I'm just going to try to keep creating what I want to create. Hopefully. I mean, I feel there's, as artists, you're going to be influenced.
Gonna keep making that hot sauce.
Keep making that fucking hot sauce. Yeah. And if you don't want hot sauce, go to Arby's.
Yeah.
God damn it, people.
So, what do they call their sauce there? I forgot. Or you can get some donkey sauce. Shout out to Plague.
Donkey sauce. I don't even want to know. But yeah. Or go to Taco Bell and get that fire sauce.
Yeah. Or the brand new, the Diablo sauce now.
God damn it. I hate Taco Bell. No diss. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the fuck to go from here. You got anything coming up?
My the group show opened last night for Nucleus Portland that I'm a part of.
Bum, 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 bum.
That was the laziest air horn.
I feel
I've
like
ever
you
heard.
should just get the soundbite of me making that sound.
I totally could. Like I did for Brave Castle.
Yeah. And then you just push the button. Yeah, that's cool. What was the show called and about?
Oh, it's called Suggestivism.
Uh-huh.
And it's curated by this artist, Nathan Spoor. And there's a few names that...
It's a good gallery.
Yeah, for sure. They had that show that I still wish I could go to, the Benjamin Bjorklund, Nicholas Uribe show. So, yeah, they're putting together good shows there. And, I'm trying to remember some of the other artists' names, but blanking out on
Cool.
them. Why did I even bring it up? God damn it.
What is the title about?
I think it's purposely vague because the thing was, the concept was open. Like you could do whatever you wanted for it.
It's always a weird idea too when you have to name a show.
I know.
Okay? Are you Googling something?
Oh, just bringing up the guest or the artist list.
Yeah, it's always weird when you're you have to title a show like a group show, because sometimes, I mean, for me, the best kind of group show is one like that where they're like, just do whatever you want, make sure it's within this size so we can fit everyone on the walls.
Right.
You know, and you just do it, and then it's like, how do you figure out a title that's not trying to sound super artsy? Like,
Sorry. I did not mean to hit that. But...
you know, or whatever, but not trying to like make fun of. I don't know. Sometimes just, I don't know. Whatever. I don't know.
All right. You were just killing time while I found the thing.
Yeah.
But Amy Saul is one of them.
I like her work.
Yeah. I don't know if you know Erica Williams. That name
I
is
don't know.
Oh, MJ's favorite, Fuko Ueda.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got some prints of hers?
That's how you pronounce that.
Right. Ken Garduno, I think I know his work.
I'd have to see people's work. You know how I am.
Right, yeah. I mean, a lot of these names, I don't even know a lot of their work either.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Jonkus, I never know how to pronounce her last name, but she's good too. And plenty of others, but those are the ones that stand out.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Sergio Lopez.
I love Sergio so much.
He's the best.
Wait, where the fuck are like the ones where people talk highly of me?
It just doesn't happen enough.
God damn, I'm too big of an asshole.
You're going on Brave Castle soon, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'll make sure not to say anything nice about you.
Yeah.
Not trying to give you any sound bites at all.
Yeah. Get some Josh sound bites out of that.
Anytime anyone brings up your name, I'm like, fuck Sergio. Who is that? I don't know that guy. I'm bad with names.
I think that was your plan even before like, coming up with this.
Yeah. This is just me making sure you're cool with it.
Yeah. For sure. Because now I have my sound bites to big myself up.
But yeah, I'm going to be on Brave Castle. I got nothing coming up either.
Yeah.
I'm
just working on the Asian Ink show, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And doodling. Hit me up if you want to buy a doodle.
For sure. Sliding the DMs, I guess.
Yep.
No upcoming group shows?
No. I'm talking with Lunarien a little bit.
Right on.
You got to figure out that thing if we're going to do a show together. But other than that, I think that'll keep me busy. And I'm probably going to do some Wonderland shows before the end of the year. Drew?
Is Wonderland lasting that long?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely want to show their at least one last hoorah. It will probably their last show I definitely want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm still sad about that. Still my favorite place to be and show when it comes to art.
Favorite place to brown bag it?
Yeah. I missed that. I missed that spot. But yeah, it is what it is. Way to go on a high note, Sergio. Thanks a lot for bringing them.
Sad music.
But yeah, I got nothing other than that. Just talking to people on the mic and
Yeah.
doodling and.
We got some fun guests coming soon.
Yeah. It should be cool.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking so much art and shit. God, are people listening anymore? I got no good movies I've watched about, talk about, watched about.
I'll do that. I'll do my homework by next time.
Thanks a lot, Sergio. Thanks for that.
By next month, I should have watched it.
But yeah. Well, let us know if you guys want to talk about anything cool. or movie suggestions. I would love movies. I'm dying here. I just watched Beautiful Boy with Michael Scott or Steve Carell. As you guys like
Michael
to call
Scott.
him. God, that movie was not great and depressing as shit. So if anyone's got something cool, let me fucking know, please.
Are you watching any of the Oscar nominees?
I can't remember. I watched Black Panther. You guys know how I thought about that.
Yeah.
Garbage. If you missed that episode. Yeah. What else is there? We talked about this before, but I don't know. The Oscars suck. They've kind of lost, I feel like they're just losing value. They lose credibility of who's going to be oh, I need to watch this because the movies they got,
Right. And they don't even have a host this year, I think. Is the thing.
Kevin Hart thing.
Yeah. So there's even less of a reason for people who watch because of the host.
Do you watch the Oscars, by the way?
I usually catch the tail end of it.
Just to watch who's Best Picture. And
Pretty much. Best Picture, Best Director. That's the only
Best
part
Actor and Actress.
Right.
Even that part kind of is whatever.
Yeah. I'll just get an alert on my phone later anyway.
Yeah.
CNN sends their little alerts out.
Yeah.
Who won.
Yeah,
So.
and that'll tell you what movie to watch, It's whatever, I don't know, usually it's 6, right? Somewhere around there category.
Yeah.
So it's oh, well, now I know I don't have to watch those other 5 movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't win an Oscar. You guys must suck.
I know. They always pick the best picture.
Yeah. I saved myself a couple hours. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this episode's going to listen back on how it's going to sound. But yeah, fuck.
Well, it usually ends awkward, but this is the first time it started very awkward.
Oh, I know. Holy shit. Just know, guys, we talked for an hour.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And then we were like, re-talk.
Yeah.
I don't know. God damn, I wish I was at least
We're so
drunk.
professional.
Well, are we good on time?
Yeah, we're almost to 2 hours.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll just end this podcast right about. If you're still listening, this has been Wait and Dry. If you're still listening, fuck off.
Show some RESPICT.
How do you not know? Oh my God.